So, good morning. Very welcome to today's session, The New Era Digital Co-working. My name is Anna Fransson. I am the Managing Director of the Swedish-Spanish Chamber of Commerce, and it's a pleasure having you all here today to discover what is this digital co-working and how can we get more agile in the future in this new scenario that we are being facing lately very intensively. And the session today will start with a presentation from Carl-Fredrik Morander, who has 25 years of experience from providing professional services in this matter. And he is the founder of Cooach. Afterwards, we will have the pleasure to listen to a success case that had been working with Cooach, who is Marcus Johansson Prakt, who is CEO in Quartiers Properties in Marbella and the Costa del Sol, and which can show us some practical ways of getting digital co-working. And after that, we will have listen to Magda Reinman, who is a colleague of Carl-Fredrik, and she will show us how to use this tool, how to get digital. And after that, we will have a Q&A, and in the end, we will get invited to a digital co-working space in another channel that Magda will put in the chat box. You will have a link where you can enter, and after this session, you can then join this practical session, so to say. So, if you have any questions, please write in the chat box in the end of everything, in the end of the boxes you have, the window. Sorry, you have the chat box and you have the Q&A button. You can write in both of them, or you can ask a question by raising your hand and do the question by voice. So please feel free to use any of these three ways of making questions. And I will just say that this session will be recorded and uploaded to YouTube and LinkedIn. So please, Carl-Fredrik, would you begin? You're mute.
Thank you very much, Anna. Thank you very much for the friendly introduction. And thank you for having us here and letting us present Cooach. Cooach is a new member of the Spanish-Swedish Chamber of Commerce. So we want to be an active member, and we were happily taking this opportunity to present what we are doing on a topic that is addressing everyone's life today, and also to see if we can maybe find a way to interact in a coach way going forward, as you mentioned, some digital co-working reality. So short presentation of myself. As Anna said, too many years of experience in professional services. Always been working with multidisciplinary services, both internationally and in Sweden, and relocated to Spain for different reasons 2 years ago, and founded an Cooach, digital provider of business support services 4-5 years ago. I will come back to that. So enough about me, and let us dig into the topic of today. I will now share my screen. Just a second. Like that. So digital co-working, it's an expression that is probably not something you can find a definition of everywhere. For us, we mean it's the new normal. Digital co-working is both digital and it's co-working. And co-working, it's a phenomenon that has been more and more used by companies in the last 20 years, I would say, and especially in the last 10 years when you see at all the co-working facilities that have been popping up in the larger cities. But digital co-working is maybe something a little bit different, but at the same time very much the same. And I would like just to present a short definition of what we mean with digital co-working. It's the collaboration with others in a digital office. But I would like to emphasize the co-working and the collaboration part of it. I would say the digital format is just a practical way of doing it, giving us some additional features, giving us some additional advantages. But the main thing here is really co-working and collaboration. And why is co-working and collaboration becoming increasingly important? It has to do with the digitalization, but not the digitalization as we see it here when we can have meetings without meeting physically. Collaboration becomes more and more important the more automized work becomes. So it's a little bit of a paradox. The more we automate repetitive task work, the more we need to focus on collaboration, because the work that is left for us knowledge workers, when we have automized the routine work, that's really down to problem solving and how to solve problems if you don't communicate, collaborate with others. So as long as we do repetitive tasks to simplify things, we can sit and do it ourselves. But when we really go into problem solving, which is remaining task we need to deal with, we need to collaborate. So the question is really, with whom do we collaborate? And just to remind us of where we are and the development we see in the physical work. I mean, in the late 19th century, people were working in factories. There was difficult, hard work, long working hours. And this work has, to a large extent, now been taken over by robots. We continue doing work that is either fun or we have more free time and we can do exercise. We need to do exercise outside the work. But doing physical work that requires some kind of creativity and using our body in a way that is difficult for a machine yet. But when you see on the upper part of this picture, we see office work. In office work, we are way behind physical work. Automation of office work has just started. I mean, we are internet connected, but the internet has not really boosted productivity when it comes to automation of work yet. But as you all know, we see buzzwords like artificial intelligence and similar expressions. And that all comes down to trying to replace the human brain in certain areas. And just as in the physical work, when we have automated the repetitive task, for example, accounting, then we need to do problem solving. And problem solving is done through collaboration with others.
Sorry, Carl-Fredrik.
Yeah.
Some are saying that they can't see the presentation. No? No, maybe it's.
You can see it?
I can see it.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe it wasn't. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. But if someone else cannot see it, please write in the chat, and we will see if we can do something about it.
Okay, thank you. They just confirmed that they can see it. Okay.
Okay,
Sorry.
good. So automation of office work is where we are heading right now. And when it then comes to the collaboration part of it, the question is really with whom we should collaborate. And historically, we are used to, when we speak about office work, to collaborate with people we physically meet on a daily basis. We commute into an office, we meet with people there. I mentioned co-working areas has become more and more popular. We have different type of offices where you have more areas to meet instead of just work. But it's still offices. Or is the collaboration something we do with anyone in the world with an internet connection? If we would have asked this question a year ago, we could have a lot of discussions about is it possible or not. But then something happened in March, which which forced us to move from collaborating with people we can meet to collaborate with people with an internet connection. I heard yesterday on the Swedish news that 3 out of 4 people who work from home would like to continue that, but not 100% after COVID. And I think what this has showed is just that it's possible to have meetings, to collaborate with people without physical meeting. But it's not really about is teletrabajar, homework, good or not. It's about how to make more out of the possibilities to meet with other people. How can a company look at this at a more strategic way? So what we believe at Coach is that all companies who now have people working from home because it's necessary should now look at the post-COVID strategy for co-working. Because as automation rises of repetitive tasks in office work, you need to bring in external partners, external innovations to make sure that you are on top of things. It's not easy. There is huge amount of different opportunities with software robots, with automation of tasks, software that solves certain problems, different ways of setting up a digital office. And there is so much that can be done wrong, and there's so much to gain from just bringing in external people to get the external innovation as a force into the company. And on the collaboration part, for companies who are not having full equipped functions for HR, finance, etc., to bring in this special knowledge that is a little bit beside the activities, the core activities of the company, is really something that digital co-working can contribute with. And I will show you a little bit how we work with Quartiers Properties in this way. One thing I will come back to as well is the possibility to, when you have a digital co-working area and you have your whole company there, is to work with digital employees, something that will be very, very common just in a few years' time. This comes with a lot of challenges from a management position. you need to have a management style that is not based on ad hoc task, because you cannot just turn around and tell something, please do this. But you need to be a little bit more planned. You need to organize work in a little bit different way, which is good news for most of the employees, because I think most of employees can benefit from a more non-hoc, ad hoc task leadership. You all know we have a lot of different SaaS cloud providing services we use on a daily basis. It becomes more and more of a challenge to on and offboard employees and gig consultants to these platforms. So that's something else that is requiring more structure than if you have a physical office where you can just turn around and ask someone, how do you do this on this company? This needs to be structured, this needs to be instructed in another way when you have people not working in the same place. You of course face the problem or the risk of people working in silos, and you have a lot of data that is not combined. So there is a risk that people work with a high efficiency for their own work, but the collaboration with your colleagues is suffering from, you don't really know what they are doing, and you cannot share really the result of their work. And this brings us to the biggest challenge there is in, I would say, the next 10 years, is to get all these co-workers that are working digitally aligned. And why is alignment so important? If this little arrow would represent a efficient and an engaged co-worker, and we have set a goal for where the company wants to go, this is not really a problem. You can instruct one person, this is where we are heading. But if this is not really clear, you have a lot of efficient, engaged co-worker, but if you don't meet them, maybe you cannot influence them, maybe you cannot really see that they are all understanding where the company is going. So this team represented by these arrows, of course, represents a team that will take more time to reach the goal than a team that looks like this. And team efficiency is, by researchers on the digital workplace today, seen as the biggest challenge. So independently of which industry you are in, the management needs to work on how to define goal, how to make them visible to everyone, how to follow up co-workers that don't meet on a regular basis. And how do you do that? Here you see a picture, which is a screenshot from a digital co-working area, which Cooach shares with two other companies, Quartiers Properties and a Spanish accounting firm called Villar y Asociados. And what you see here is a team of approximately 10 people. The 10 people come from different organizations, as I said, but they are also in total different locations. Marcus Prakt, whom we will listen to very soon, he's based in Marbella together with his colleague, Maria Cepero, the CFO, and Ivan, who's the business controller. Then we have the Cooach contributors, myself as a team leader. We have an accountant, she's based in Falun in Sweden. We have a very senior specialist in group accounting who is working from Stockholm. We have a payroll consultant from Tomelilla, where she's working from home. Carolina working here in Spain. Then we have a back office team doing repetitive tasks based in Fuengirola. And then we have accountants based in San Pedro. And by bringing all these people into a digital office, which in our case is the collaboration platform Slack, we can work together as a team. If we would take away Slack and take away the digital office, we would use email to communicate and we would not be a team. So what this shows is actually two things. First thing is it's so important to put up the infrastructure for this co-working when you are working digitally. Secondly, as Marcus, I think, will mention, Quartiers Properties is a company listed on First North Nasdaq Stockholm. So a lot of requirements to report, comply with rules. But still a rather small company to be public. And having this team we see here onboarded as regular employees would probably cost 3 times the existing cost. And based on the simple fact that you share these people with other companies without, I would say, losing the team spirit of working towards a shared goal. As Anna mentioned, Cooach is not just a provider of these services. We're also a startup that moved to Spain 2 years ago. And we are now moving not towards Trafalgar Square, which we see here, but towards a new phase in our life. We were founded in 2016. We long way before COVID, of course, had this idea of promoting providing services fully digitally. We made our first digital employee coach bot as a proof of concept in 2017. And in 2021, our ambition is to turn into a platform business. We have an office. We are based in Fuengirola in Spain. And in order not to become a regular company, we recently rebranded it into a quick office, which is a co-working provider from Sweden with about 9 locations, I think in Malmö and in Stockholm. So we are sitting in our own physical co-working area as well, together with clients, together with other people who want to get out from home, but don't have a regular company office to go to. And what we are doing is to, in this year, launch our digital employee called CoachBot. And CoachBot is helping companies in different areas like HR, company administration, accounting, obviously, taking care of questions related to stock option programs, keeping track on a shareholder book, etc. It will be provided as a freemium service where you get for free a lot of very, very intelligent document templates provided through a document robot. And then we will have 3 different layers of services: business, enterprise, and then support packages. And I will not go through these in detail now, but hopefully we will be able, with some of you participating here today, to develop these services also for Spain. Because as I mentioned, we moved to Spain 2 years ago, and 1 year ago we started also to provide services to Spanish companies in the field of especially accounting for entrepreneurs, digital nomads, and recently also for subsidiaries of larger Swedish entities. And we have actually managed to make a fully digital accounting services work in Spain. So that is our first feature into many for the Spanish market as well. With that, I will give the word to Marcus, one client we are very proud and happy to have a long-term partnership with. And after Marcus, my colleague Magda will introduce our possibility or the possibility to contribute to Cooach and hopefully to yourself and your companies through our digital co-working area. So Marcus, stop sharing my screen and the word is yours.
Thank you very much, Carl-Fredrik. Very interesting presentation. And it turns out that you are doing much more than I actually thought that you were doing. I thought that you were only working with us, but I see now that you're also building a great company.
But I'm really happy that you say that, Marcus, because that's the purpose of how we work.
Yeah.
We are your team.
Yeah, you feel that you always have contact, but in reality you don't. No,
it would have been too expensive otherwise, Marcus.
No, but I think maybe I'm here today basically to present what I hope is a good example of a company that have succeeded with implementing this digital co-working methodology. And I was also thinking about when Carl-Fredrik was presenting that this also goes hand in hand with the shared economy that we see is growing, sharing cars, sharing properties, sharing a lot of different things. And here we are basically also sharing knowledge in the employees that Carl-Fredrik has. And we do not have to, like Carl-Fredrik also said, employ them ourselves. And the digitalization and the fact that that has also been speeding up now with COVID, etc., is something, not COVID itself, but the digitalization that is moving forward is something that I'm usually mentioning in a lot of investor presentations, when I speak to lenders, when I speak to shareholders, etc., because this is something that I really, really believe will benefit our business also in the future. I live in Marbella. I've been doing that for soon 4 years. And Marbella is really a fantastic place to live in. And we see that more and more people are discovering that and want to move to Marbella or to the Costa del Sol or other places in Spain as well. But before, they have not really been able to do that. But now when more and more work is becoming digital, more people actually get the opportunity to take that step and move to Marbella. And as you see, what I have in the first slide here is basically my digital office where I spend most of my time. This is our new hotel and restaurant resort on the Golden Mile in Marbella. And this is a picture of our swimming pool. But I'm going to start a little bit to present what we are doing in Quartiers Properties. Maybe someone has heard about us before, but I do a quick, brief introduction. And Quartiers Properties is a real estate developer. We started developing real estate in Spain in 2015. And since then, we have grown, and today we have a real estate portfolio of around 80 million euro down here. We are also a hotel operator, so part of developing real estate is to make sure that the real estate is performing well, and that is also why we on some of our properties has decided to enter in as hotel operator and also manage business in order to maximize the cash flow from the business in the long run and create the best possible value of the property. We have all of our assets in the Spanish Costa del Sol. So we are a Swedish company, but all of our operation is in Spain. The reason we are a Swedish company is because we have a connection to the capital market in Sweden. When we started, we raised all of our initial funds from the stock market in Sweden and we also conducted a listing on Nasdaq First North. And today we are trading at a market cap of approximately 32 million euro. Our two main assets, we have two main assets that constitute a big part of our balance sheet. And then we have also some other smaller projects around the Marbella area. But the two main assets that we have is a property consisting of almost 40,000 square meters of land on the Golden Mile in Marbella, which is only, I used to say, 3 to 5 minutes walk from the beach. So it's very, very good, has a very, very good location. And this resort is called Boho Club. And this is a hotel and restaurant resort that we have started to develop. Today we have 30 rooms and a relatively big restaurant. And we are planning to gradually increase the number of rooms and grow this to a bigger resort. We also have approximately 100 apartments for sales and rental in Benavis, which is an adjacent municipality to Marbella, also with a very good location and fantastic views over the Mediterranean Sea. And here we are also planning to launch shortly 60 new apartments that we're going to build and sell in one way or another. And like Carl-Fredrik also mentioned in his presentation, an important aspect to remember when looking at us and what I'm going to explain now is that we are in fact a relatively small organization, considering the requirements that we have in terms of compliance and reporting. And those stakeholders that require this level of compliance is, of course, the tax authority in Spain, as all companies in Spain need to follow. But we also have, in addition to that, lenders that provide debt financing to us. They have high demand on reporting, and in order to get those kind of financing solutions that we have succeeded to get, you need to show that you have a professional organization, you have the capacity to deliver timely and accurate numbers, because that is something that is taken for granted when you sit and speak with that kind of lenders. But we also have the listing on Nasdaq and the reporting requirements that we have to the shareholders and all the compliances that we need to follow. And without having efficient and digital setup for managing this, we could either choose not to have a company like we have today, or we would have to pay much, much higher fees in order to employ all this knowledge ourselves. And in addition to that, allocate that knowledge also in the same place, which would be hugely expensive. So having the digital and automated functions and working with that, like Carl-Fredrik has introduced, is really making it possible for us to run the company as we do and get access to the capital markets in a way that is crucial for a real estate developer in today's market. And what this also does, and when we have been working with this now for a couple of years, is that it has prepared us for future expansion and scaling of the business. And basically, if we would like to scale the business today, it would be done very, very efficiently. Say that we would want to set up a new hotel, a new Boho Club in a different location. Imagine that location would be Ibiza. What we would have to do is basically focus on the operational part of the business, making sure that we have a local collaborator like we have in Marbella today that can provide us with the knowledge and know-how for how to make the bookkeeping in Spain and Ibiza, and then deliver that on a monthly basis to Cooach, who is helping us with the consolidation of all those numbers. And then the numbers from this new business unit would be in a very, very efficient way be consolidated into the overall numbers. We will be able to track the performance, follow up, and we will be able to report accordingly to the stock market and to our debt providers. And saying that we are a success case in collaborating with Cooach and Carl-Fredrik's company, I just want to mention some aspects that I believe is important when starting with this. And the first thing I would say is that you have to start. You have to start right away. Don't plan too much before you get started. It is basically have to dig into it, take contact, and start right away. Because that is how you learn. That is how you see how you need to adapt your business. You also need to be stubborn. And what I mean with that is that you cannot give up and allow people in the organization to go back to old habits. A good example is...
Marcus, sorry for interrupting, but are you moving your slides? Because we still see the first page.
You see the first page?
Yeah, at least I do. Sorry.
Let's see, I try to share this one again. Can you see the new one?
Yeah.
Can you see now when I'm moving?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, better. Okay, the second thing is that you need to be stubborn. So basically, the example given by Carl-Fredrik as well, that you have different ways of communicating. We are using Slack for all communication regarding reporting and accounting and everything that we are discussing today. But if you stop doing that and you go back to sending emails, what will happen is basically that all of a sudden I will send an email to our CFO if I'm not copying Carl-Fredrik's team or someone that might need that knowledge as well to understand why we're doing certain things. And then you are losing the whole team aspect of everything. And it's very, very difficult to go back and see what was said, who said what, who was supposed to do this, etc. So it becomes very important in the implementation phase that you really stick to the routines that you have decided that you should follow, and that you use those communication tools that you have decided to use. It will be in the beginning a little bit challenging for some people in the organization, but after a while you will discover that things work so much easier, better, and more efficient. The third thing is also that you need to develop step by step, and you cannot expect to come and do a whole turnover of your organization into a totally digital platform in one day or in 1 week or maybe in 1 year. You have to do this step by step, and especially when you move to new locations and when you expand internationally. When we started in Spain, what we realized was that the Spanish collaborators saw this as a very strange thing. Why should they report in a certain way to Sweden? Why should they do things in those tools, etc., etc.? And we had some challenges in the beginning in the implementation phase, but as today, I feel that things are moving extremely efficiently. So as long as you are patient, you do it step by step, then you will make sure that everyone in the organization and in other organizations that you collaborate with also will accept this, realize the benefits of engaging in the digital platforms, and then it will be a success. But in order to do that, it is also important that you have someone who is constantly nagging and telling everyone that you need to follow those routines, that you need to stick to what we have decided. And if someone is deviating and starting to send emails to individual people with the attachments, then you simply have to guide that person and say back, you have to use the digital platforms that we are using. Because as soon as you stop doing that, you will lose the benefits of the digital platforms. So that is very important to appoint someone who is responsible and can act as somewhat of a digital leader in this implementation process. I will get back to this digital leader as well shortly. But just to give an example, with a small organization, we have quite a lot of employees in total, but we have relatively few employees working with these particular tasks. And that is something that we believe is important, because reporting, honestly, is not the core of our business. The core of our business is to deliver a great guest experience to the people coming and staying and eating in our resort, and or buying apartments for us, or renting apartments for us, or buying villas from us. That is our core business, and that is where our focus should be. So that's why we prefer to spend more money on personnel in those fields than building a big team for reporting. As I see it, reporting is something that should just work. And I'm happy that in our organization, that is the case right now. But I know that that is not the case in all organizations. But with the structure that we have today, we have a small organization, but with a very high capacity. And as an example of that, when we entered into COVID times in March, April 2020, of course, we had a lot of challenges, and we still today have a lot of challenges that require that I focus my time on the business, planning of cash flow, negotiating with the investors and debt providers, etc. And if we wouldn't have that setup, I would not be able to do that because I would have to focus on mandatory reporting requirements. And as an example, in July 2020, we succeeded to sign and negotiate a 70 million euro loan financing, which is a big for us considering our 32 million euro market cap. We also, during the same month, we got an FSA approved prospectus that we produced and did 100% internally without external advisors. And we saved a lot of cost by being able to allocate internal resources towards that instead of engaging an external investment bank. We also succeeded to adapt our business to COVID restriction and at the same time change the business and ramp up for higher demand in August 2020 when the restrictions were released a little bit. While doing all this in the same month with very, very few people, we also succeeded to produce and deliver a half-year report only 16 days after the closing of the month. And this is something that illustrates that if you have routines and you have the digital tools and you automate as much as you can, then the reporting doesn't become a hassle. That is just something that is working, and with coach help, that has actually been made possible for us. So then we go back to the organization and setup, and why I said that is extremely important for success. And the digital leader that I mentioned before has in our case been coach, and in most cases from coach Carl-Fredrik that we have been working very closely with. And they have been helping us to design the processes, setting up the systems, and also coaching and teaching our organization how to use those tools. And they also do some repetitive tasks for consolidation and work very closely with a bookkeeping firm in Spain. And also an important task that they are pursuing is that they are supporting and advising our CFO in questions relating to Swedish accounting law and IFRS. And when I was about to recruit a CFO, it was very important for me because I was a CFO of this company before I became the CEO. It was then very important for me to have someone who was working very, very closely to the actual business. And actual business in our case is not to deliver reports and send different and analyze different accounting rules. That is not where we make our money. That is just something that we need to do. But I wanted someone that is very, very close to the business that can help to make sure that in our business as well, we have efficient ways of doing things. That when we take payments, we use the most modern ways of taking payments in the restaurant. When we work with local staff down here, we do that in an efficient way. The staff gets the benefits that they should. We analyze new opportunities and so forth. And that is the profile that I wanted for our CFO. Then I could also try, because we have the requirements to provide reporting to Sweden. Of course, I could try to find someone who have both that very, very expertise knowledge of how to manage the Spanish bureaucracy and how to do things in Spain, and at the same time manage the Swedish bureaucracy with reporting to Nasdaq, with reporting to the Swedish FSA and so forth. Maybe I could find that person. Maybe. I think it is highly unlikely, but and it would be also unreasonable for our small organization to employ someone who is also an expert in that, because that person would, not have so much to do except working with those things. So then we have a very good setup today, which allows us to work like we do, with coach helping us and supporting with expertise and knowledge in those specific fields to a cost that is much, much lower than would be the case if we would need to have internal people for that. And what all this has done is that it has reduced stress. To be honest, when we start reporting half-year reports and annual reports and doing share issues, etc., it was a stressful time when we started with this 3-4 years ago. Today, I don't see that as a stress. I see this as something that's just working. I believe that is how it should be. Things that you can plan, annual reports, half-year reports, quarterly reports, monthly reports, whatever it is something that you know today that you will have to report every month. And as soon as you make those things very repetitive, you make it easy, you use the digital tools that are available, and you try to do the same thing with the organization, and everyone knows what to do, and they can collaborate in a great tool, as example Slack that we're using. Then there is no stress whatsoever, and I can focus my stress and make sure that the organization is focusing on our core business instead. So then I get stressed instead of someone is telling me that they didn't have a great experience when they had lunch in the restaurant. That is where I can focus my time and really work on improving that together with the manager of, for example, Bowl Club. So this has allowed us to grow as a company and also to focus on the things that matters for us while keeping the organization small. If you want to get in touch, the best thing is to first have a look at our websites. We have different websites because we have different brands, and for certain reasons we need to have different websites in order to reach out to the different clients in different products and services that we are selling. You can visit our website quartiersproperties.com for more overall information about the company. And if you want to join, if you want to stay at or eat at this beautiful resort called Bowl Club, which you see in the background here, you just visit bowlclub.com. If you want to buy an apartment in Marbella and you want to start your digital life down here, then you should definitely go into haciendacollection.es. And if you simply want to try first to rent an apartment, you do that in quartiersmarbella.com. And now I welcome any questions that you might have, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Marcus. I think you managed to get a picture of what's really happening now. I've been listening to several Swedish companies that are thinking about, or they are moving abroad and working digitally and Marbella is of course a place where you find a lot of companies and entrepreneurs, and I think it's a quite good business area in general, no? for Swedish and probably international enterprises. So I have a question. Please, audience, if you would like to make questions, you have the chat and the Q&A. You can also make raise your hand and speak. But I have a question, meanwhile, for Marcus. When you manage to organize your internal, your team and all the internal processes in that efficient way, how do you deal with the external contacts? Can you integrate them easily in your new way of working? Do you know what I mean? You have those old emails continuing to...
No, you mean, for example, the Spanish bookkeeping firm, Gestoria, that we are working with down here, or do you mean external people such as shareholders?
Yeah, both. I mean, because sometimes this mail burden, I call it a burden because I think it is. How do you manage that outside your own team? How can you get rid of it?
No, I would say for external people, such as, if you say the shareholders are not, they should not for compliance reasons have access to all information of the company and on a daily basis. So with the shareholders, we use established method. We produce quarterly reports, half-year reports, annual reports, etc. And that is the way we are communicating with our shareholders, and also, of course, for different press releases. Sometimes I'm out speaking also with shareholders on different events. When it comes to collaborators that help us with the reporting and compliance regulations locally, that is where we use what we use for this kind of collaboration and reporting in Spain. We have internal people. We have two people that are, two people now, three actually, because we have also a lot of reporting for the hotel and a lot of administration that needs to be done on site anyway. But so we have three people working 100% with reporting internally, fully employed by the company. And their task is also to make sure that the right information is delivered from the Spanish bookkeeping and tax advisor firm, that everything is reported properly and communicated with Sweden. So they have an important role as well internally and are dedicated to that, to make sure that everything is floating. So if something is wrong, it is their responsibility, and mostly the responsibility of the CFO, to make sure that those things work. Yeah. So we do also have someone who is internally pushing and making sure that deadlines are kept, that and also helping to provide the connection to the business, which is very important. Because you can have numbers and you can report numbers to someone in Japan that is going to analyze that, but if they don't understand anything about the business, it doesn't really make sense. Then the numbers doesn't make sense anyway. So you need to have that connection to the business, which we have in the internal team, that is communicated with the external advisors on how those things should be. And if those external advisors are, like I said, deviating from the routine, so they start to send emails, they are not using our implemented digital platforms, then it is the responsibility of those people internally to make sure that the external advisors start to use that. And it's also something that Carl-Fredrik has responsibility to push, to make sure that it actually becomes reality.
Sorry for interrupting, but I think there's just a few minutes left. So maybe we should let Ireland come into the picture, to have Magdalena invite you all to continuing maybe to participate. I see a lot of comments in the chat here, but we would like to continue interacting with you. So I will leave the word over to Magda, who is based in Spain, but currently in a quarantine on Ireland.
Thank you, Carl-Fredrik. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me here. So yes, at first, I just would like to apologize. I have had some technical difficulty this morning, so you cannot actually see me. So I'm really sorry about that. Technology is all great when it all works. So just a very short introduction. My name is Magdalena Reimann. I'm part of the customer success team in Cooach. I'm a colleague of Carl-Fredrik. And yes, currently I am stuck in Ireland due to having coronavirus, but it's all fine. So anyway, nothing is stopping me to speaking here to you. I promise I will be very quick, but I just would like to show you, I would like to invite you to participate, to get in touch with us over a digital tool, Slack, which is our digital co-working space. So I will just very quickly show you how you can do that and how you can actually help us develop and improve our products and services that we have mentioned and we have shown an example of which Marcus has been speaking about. So let me show it to you very quickly how you can join us to do that. So if you visit our website, coach.io/register, which I will leave shortly in the chat box, you will just need to fill in those few fields, empty fields that you can see on the right of your screen, and click register. You will receive the following notification on the screen. You will need to check your email, your inbox, and click on the link, which will bring you to a browser page where you will just need to select your password. And simple as that, you will be brought to our digital co-working office space. So I promise you that it only takes a minute or even less than a minute to register. So when you come to this page, if you click to the digital co-working space, you will just the very first time you will need to agree to the terms and conditions, and you will be brought to our space, digital space, and this is what it looks like. So it's called Coach Free. You will be brought as a default to a welcome channel. So please feel free to read all the information, browse through anything that you might find of interest. But what I would specifically would like to invite you to do and would be to search a specific channel. So in your channel sidebar where you see the 3 vertical dots, I would like to ask you to browse the channel, type in development, and you can see here below a channel called Coach Platform Development will pop up on your screen, and just hit the green button to join. On your screen, you will be brought to this channel. So please feel free to browse through it, read the description. There will be a notification and an introduce yourself notification. So if you wish to introduce yourself to other participants, other colleagues, this is purely voluntary. It is there for you if you wish to do so, please go ahead. If you wish to leave any thoughts, any comments, any feedback that might come to your mind, please feel free to do that too. Simply in this channel by clicking this blue lightning strike below and following by clicking feedback. And this is just a very short form that you can also feel free to fill in and submit it to send us your feedback. So we will be grateful if you do that too. There is also what we do at Code in this channel in particular. We have a poll, a different poll every month, just to get to find out different opinions. We're all different. We all have different thoughts. We think on different topics slightly differently. So it's just interesting to see your votes, to get your votes and get interacting. So I would like to invite you to come and join us in this coach-free co-working digital space that we have. This is the website here again in this channel. It's coach.io/register. And we cannot forget, in case you have any issues connecting, please feel free to email us beforehand. But leaving at that, I hope to hear from you soon, and thank you very much for your time and for having me here.
Thank you very much, Magda. I think you put in the chat box how to access this platform. I have a proposal. What do you think of, we can leave this webinar open if someone has some question about how to access. So we will finish the webinar now, and we will stop the recording and leave this channel, but leave this channel open for the ones the users that wants to get online now with Magda. What do you think about that, Magda?
Yes, that's fine.
Yes,
of course.
So you don't lose contact.
Of course. Yes, I'm here for any questions.
Great. So I would like to thank you very much, Carl-Fredrik from Cooach, and Marcus from Quartiers Properties, and Magdalena, of course, from Cooach, who's continuing the session. But we will stop recording now, and really looking forward to get more digital and get this alignment, as you said in the beginning, Carl-Fredrik, which I think is a challenge both for everybody in a team. So that is what we wish for. That was very good. Thank you very much. See you soon.
Thank you very much, Anna. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye everyone.